The story of the sangreal. Many human lives ago, so runs the tale, another living order reached this earth, far higher than the common human scale, yet capable of causing life by birth. Exactly who or what those beings were, or where they came from, need not matter now. What is important is that we should care far more about the whys than merely how. These were our ancestors of noble name, whose distant genesis is still within our blood. There is no certainty of when they came, but it was long before our fabled flood. They could have been the sole surviving race of some far distant world which was destroyed, and for survival's sake they sought through space for something better than an empty void. We were about the best that they could find, so far as place and species were concerned, though we were very much indeed behind the point of evolution they had earned. Be that as may be, the essential need of life is cosmic continuity, so human bodies bore that star-born seed, despite apparent incongruity. It is believed the first of such mutations were with a specially selected team by means of artificial impregnations, so unattractive did mere humans seem. At last the bold Promethean deed was done, and on this earth a newer race began its evolutionary course to run as an example to the rest of man. So far above the average were these folk, it gave them automatic social height, and when they acted as their instinct spoke, they ruled the others with an inborn right. It was not long before this breed became our early aristocracy and kings, and that was how the sangreal got its name, as royal blood, apart from other things. From that time forth, the blood has slowly spread, and most especially within the West, where nowadays it has become inbred among most souls who try to do their best. At first, of course, the blood was kept confined to a specific few, who passed it down between themselves alone among their kind, because they realized it brought renown. Yet later, when a sacred king should die for his appointed people as a whole, the purest royal blood must qualify his worthiness for that exalted role. As time went by, genetics broadened out, and thus attenuated on the way. Yet it may be believed beyond a doubt our blood has made us what we are today. They understood this in the olden days, when blood was honoured for itself alone, so many different and religious ways which are these times forgotten or unknown. We think the term to bless is very nice, yet it derives from blood drops spattering partakers at an ancient sacrifice which priests were then most freely scattering. It was the blood alone that made men blessed, by contact with it through a holy rite. Hence Christianity within the West became as influential as it might. Being based on blood, it held a wide appeal for all who sensed their inmost souls derived from that most sacred source, the sangreal, by which our Western spirit has survived. This may seem odd, but Western man today still swears by blood, which seems to be a curse, but has a secret hidden underlay of blessed meaning, so is none the worse. We bless and curse by blood because we know whatever we have said for good or ill links up with living in the long ago and sangreal determined human will. Although the blessed blood was once so rare that only nobles bore it in their genes, it was discovered all might have their share, who were prepared to quest by mystic means. By sheer devotion to the blood alone, and concentrating on it very much, as if a king were present on his throne through symbolism one could see or touch, enlightened consciousness might reach a state beyond the limits of mortality, and when that soul became next incarnate, it could be with the blood in actuality. Because all passage of the blood was more than merely physical upon this earth, and offered entry by the secret door that leads to honourable states of birth. In other words, the old genetic code was of the spirit rather than the flesh, and only by that spirit might the mode of sangreal life be carried on afresh. No one need think the sangreal was enough to make us perfect. All that it could do was modify our natures from the rough to what they might be if we wanted to. It made man plus. We had to do the rest by our own efforts, and then follow through with whatsoever we believed was best and everything we thought was good and true. The sangreal might be thought of as a seed implanted in us at a distant time, which, when developed in us, would indeed most powerfully assist our cosmic climb. It did depend on how much cultivation most individual humans were prepared to freely spend without equivocation upon enhancement of the blood they shared. Some did this well with every benefit, while others let life pass with nothing done. Hence blood increased in those who cared for it, but dwindled in the rest to almost none. And that has been its story ever since, as variant factor in the blood of man, from humblest peasant to the highest prince, promoting our perfection where it can. It has been symbolized as many things, or simply called the blood, by those who know that it originated as the blood of kings, then later spread as far as it could go. Maybe its best appearance unto men was as the legendary Holy Grail, a very Christianized affair, but then it had to be disguised as a folk tale. The female symbol of a blessing cup, with phallic lance, blood dripping into it, should scarcely need much story making up for any with a single grain of wit. But as the legend gathered strength and grew, all kinds of things were added to support its central secret, which initiates knew, yet covered up with obfuscating thought. There was the sinner king and his waste lands, whose ghastly injuries would never heal until he met some knight who understands and cures him with the contents of the Grail. This meant that rulers of those present times no longer came from an authentic source, and that was why such wickedness and crimes became a rulership by fear and force. Restore the rightful blood to rule on earth, and humans might be happy once again, enjoying life with cheerfulness and mirth, instead of causing one another's pain. The story of the castle then was told, a most mysterious place in which the Grail remains securely in this great stronghold that no opposing forces dare assail. 3 magic bridges lay across the moat, bespanning it in order side to side. The first a bowshot long, but strange to note, it was not more than barely 1 foot wide. This bridge would widen by itself for those who might be worthy of an entrance there, but otherwise would even further close until it disappeared into thin air. The second bridge was difficult to pass because of its steep arch, and what was worse, its surface being as slippery as glass, made all attempts to climb it quite a curse. The third bridge seemed substantially stout, yet whoso crossed it always feared mishap each step they took. There was a horrid doubt they might be walking straight into a trap. Inside the castle everything was good, and entertainment was the very best, of music, speech, companionship and food that could be found in the